Yep. Good evening, everyone. So last session we discussed about custom events. How do we work with custom events? Let me give the summary. Angular custom events. You have to know about a directive called input. You have to know a directive called output. You need event emitter, and you need a method emit, and you need event arguments by using $event. These all are required, right? So what is purpose of input? It marks a property so that it can accept value from any another component, from parent component, and makes the property available, accessible outside the scope, right? What is output? It marks a method event. It marks a method so that it can be projected outside the component. Event emitter, all events are derived in Angular from a base class called event emitter. You can create your own events by inheriting event emitter. What kind of value event emitter can emit? It can emit any type of value. It can emit any type of value, right? So how to access the emitted values? $event. These are the points. Let's put this in one example. Yesterday's example was just syntactical example. Yesterday's example, just syntactical example. In this, parent from child, parent to child data is coming, child to parent data is going. Now, let's see how we can use some events. How do we work with the events? Let's create one simple logic here. So I will add a sample example. Suppose we will take the example using fake store. Okay, in the components, I am adding a component, ng generate component, open terminal. Yeah. First, I will explain the scenario. I will explain a small scenario. Suppose we need here. Here we need a products catalog. We need a products catalog. In this products catalog, we want to display all products. That means in the products catalog, all products information will come. We want to display all the products related information. Now, in this catalog, we will create a filter. We will create a filter as a separate component. We will create a filter as a separate component. This filter component will have some details. That means now it will have some details like categories, like electronics, like fashion, like footwear, like this, it will be there. So some categories are defined in that filter. Now I will keep this. This is a separate component. Why we designed as a separate component? Because we want to use this filter in so many locations. In so many places, we want to use this filter. Then we designed as a separate component. Then we can, in this products catalog, in the product catalog, we want to use that filter. Here we want to use the filter. We can use anywhere. So we will take and keep that here. Now who is parent, who is child? Product catalog is parent and filter is child. Now I want to send in the products catalog. Here we have all products. In that, how many are electronics, how many are fashion, how many are footwear? That information we have to send from here to here. That means from parent component to child component, we need to send information about products count. How many electronics are there? How many footwear are there? How many fashion are there? Like that. That is transporting data from parent to child. In child, it will show the details. Is it standard? No. If you use this filter in another component, in that component, how many electronics are there, footwear are there, it will display. It will change, right? I will also show you reusable and components which can change according to the data. That later we will see how we can change according to the data. Now, when user clicks on this, fashion or electronics, only those details must come here. Only those details must come here. That means now we need to send information from child to parent. And we need a custom event now. Custom event is filter clicked. When filter clicked, it has to filter and display only the products that belong to that particular category. Now we need to transport data from parent to child and child to parent. That is the concept we want to achieve. Let's see how to do this. Means how we can design this. So we need two components. One is the catalog, another one is the filter, right? Let's design this first. So ng generate component product catalog. Skip test. Product catalog is one component. Let's create another component. This is filter. We have a component called filter. Okay. So we have two components. One is catalog and filter. Okay. Now let's design. We have to start with parent. Parent is catalog. So here we will use product catalog component. And in HTML, we will keep product catalog. So we are adding the product catalog. Okay. Now product catalog works. Let's go to the products catalog. In components, products catalog component, here we will keep a div and the class container fluid. And here I will keep a heading, some header, like some heading, some shopping online. Just roughly, I will put some BG dark and text white and text center. Okay, this is at the top. We have the header and padding 1. Some gap. Okay. Now below this, we will create a section. In this section, we have now and we have main. So right side is the main and left side. So this is class margin top 2 or 3, and this is row. This is class call 3, and this is class call 9. So here, this is the navigation left side. Here I will keep an option filter products. So there filter products, and right side, so results. So or say product catalog. So product catalog. Like this we have. Now what happens here is, here we want to access the filter component and display. Filter component must be displayed here. Okay, then we will use app filter. App filter. So left side filter works. That means the filter component is working. It is there. Right side, I want to display the products. I want to display all the products. Okay, we will do one thing. We learned already how to fetch the data. I will create here public. Products is an any type array. So initially it is empty. What I will do, I will create a method, public load products. It is a void method, and fetch from http fakestore api.com/products. Then here we have to get response.json, and we need the data, that is products. So these products we need to assign to this dot products, whatever the products data coming. Now on initialization, this dot load products, we are loading the products, and those products data we will display in the catalog here. Right side, we are using a div. So class dflex and flex wrap, and style and height as some 500 pixel, yeah, and overflow as auto. Here we are designing a div. This class have card, margin 2, padding 2. It should repeat ng for let item of products. Products is the array. For every item, I will just give a simple image, and image source src comes from item.image. Class as card image top, height some 140. And below this we have class card header. Just title and image I will show here. So here we will display item.title, and style height as some 130 pixel. Okay. These are all the products related data coming here. And for every card, I will keep style width as 200 pixel. Then all the cards will be here. That is fine. This is the data we are having. All the data is displayed right side, left side we have filter. Now important here in this data right side, we have different category products. Electronics, footwear, electronics, men's clothing, women's clothing, and fashion, so many are there. Now the point here is we need to send that information. We need to send that information and display here. That, and remember, this is a separate component. In that First, we need to collect how many electronics are there and send that number here. We need to get that and display. That is what we need to do in this. Now, let's do that here. So let's go to filter component and design it. Let's design the filter component. So I'm designing filter component like this. Let's go to filter. This is filter component TS file. Let's design this in this way. We have a div with a button. So class BTN and BTN, suppose some dark, something like this. And here we have electronics, and I'm using like this buttons, electronics, so jewelry, and here we will define what is it. One more is here we have men's clothing, men's clothing, and here we have women's clothing. Like this we have. These are the options in the buttons, right? And all margin bottom is 2. For all buttons, I am giving margin bottom 2. And here, all the buttons, that's fine. Electronics, jewelry, men's clothing, women's clothing. We will keep this in an individual container that looks better. Actually, all this I will put in a div and a class as BTN group vertical. It will be fine, right? That is what we are defining. Now what we need is when user is, these are the contents we are having. Now I want to display how many electronics are there. Beside that, number should come. How many electronics, how many jewelry, how many clothing, how many women's clothing, that number should come. But that information is not present in filter component. Filter component don't have the data about products. Products data is present in which component? Catalog. From catalog component, we need to send the data to filter. We need to send the data to filter. So in filter component, there must be, in filter component, there must be some properties which can collect the data and store the data. So let's go to the filter component. In the filter component TS file, we need to create a property for input. And here we have to import input, and we need some properties. What are those properties? Electronics count. It is a number type and it is initially 0. Similarly, so jewelry count. Jewelry count is also a number and it is 0. Similarly, men's count. So that is number and 0. And women's count. Men's count. So it is also a number and 0. All are set to 0 and 0. Initially they are empty, and all must collect the data. Here we have to mark them as input. All these properties are marked with input. They are marked with input. Okay. Now here important point is how we can get that information, where to display. Display this count here. Here I am using a span and class I given badge. I given badge, and here we are displaying electronics count. I am displaying electronic count. Actually, badge will display like this. Badge can have a separate background, BG light. Then badge is having separate BG dark. Dark. Then it is having as a BG primary danger like this. Some reverse color we will apply. Okay, that is fine. That means it is showing how many are there. How many are there? That means 0. Similarly, I will keep a badge here. Copy. And after jewelry, another badge. This is a jewelry count. Jewelry count. Okay. Another here badge. This is a men's count. Okay. Here we have another one. This is women count. Women's count. Women's count. Okay. And all those are 0, 0, 0. Actually, I haven't used any another span. If I use another span, I can keep in a proper way. I can keep as deflex. So justify content between like this. I can add some options. It will be like this. That means one will be right side, another one will be left side, right? So if I add deflex and justify content between, this is the class I added for all the buttons, then it will keep the alignment perfect, right? That's the number we are displaying there. We are displaying the number. Now when I want this count updated, that means that information we need to send from this to this. From parent to child, we need to transport the data, right? How do we transport the data from parent to child? Let's go into the product catalog. Here, app filter is having a property. What is the property? Electronic count. How to get electronic count? Already there is a collection called, remember, there is a collection. See the TS file. Products is a collection. In this collection means it is an array. In this array, how to find out how many electronics are there? In that array, how to find out how many electronics are there? Actually, in our JavaScript array functions, we have products is the array. We have a filter method. What filter will do? It can return all the records that are matching the condition. That means filter uses a callback function. It is JavaScript array methods. We have filter and find. Find will return only one. First occurrence. Filter will return all that are matching the condition. So here, this filter we are using like product implies product dot category is matching with which category? It is matching with what? Electronics. Now what it will do? It will return all the products whose category is matching with electronics. But we don't want all the products which are matching with electronics. I want to know how many are matching with electronics. Then we can put dot length. That means what? This condition is going to return all the products that belong to electronics. What this is going to return? Only length of them. We don't want all products list. We want only the length of them. How many? Because this is this electronics count is a number type, na? Is a number type. It is expecting a number here. So Suppose I am writing like this, products dot, we are using a filter, and here we are implementing filter. You can see it says, so it takes some arguments. Suppose I'm showing here, so product implies, so product dot, so product dot category is equal to, what is the category? Electronics. So this is how we need to define. But very important here, this is an expression you are trying. So, and electronics, and what is it? Dot what? Length. Length will return the number. This is an expression you are trying. Expressions are not allowed to bind. Through property binding, you cannot bind an expression. You can bind only a value. We can bind only a value, not an expression. So we will do one thing. Instead of binding as an direct expression, here I will use a binding expression. In this binding expression, I am writing here, what is the collection? Products dot, I am using filter. And what is that? I am directly trying here. What is that option? So we are trying product implies product dot category. Product dot category is equal to what? Electronics. Electronics dot length, I am writing here. And you see this binding expression is also not allowed. Why it is not allowed? It says that, so it got an interpolation. So already we know that interpolation is not going to directly handle the, interpolation will not update na. It is one time na. Already we discussed that one way, one direction na. So what you have to do here, this was possible in early versions. This was possible in early versions to bind expressions. In older techniques, you can see people still writing like this. But now, because of the error handling improvements and changes in the versions, you cannot directly pass expressions like this. But you will see in old situations, people doing like this. Then what you have to do now, we have to do only one thing. What is it? Wherever you got this result, so first here you create some properties. What are those properties? So e count, right? E count is electronics count. It is what type? Number. It is 0. Another one is j count. You can give full name, I am giving shortcut. So it is 0. And here we have another one. What is it? So that is jewelry, electronics, men count, right? This is also a number and 0. And we have another one. What is it? W count. It is also a number and 0. Here all the products information is coming. Into the products, all the products data is coming. Now we will do like this here. There are so many other techniques also to handle. I will, because depends on how the data is provided to you. How the data is provided to, depending on that we can manage. Here I am using this dot e count. E count is electronic count. So products dot, we are applying a filter. So where product implies, so product dot what? Category is matching with what? Electronics, and get dot what? Length. And this product is a parameter. It is any type data it is coming. Now you see there is some error here. It is saying, so it is saying that product cannot find the name product. Do you mean products? This filter is not allowing a parameter of any type here. Actually, this is a parameter. This is because filter is a callback function. Now you can put this in a function. This is parameter. If you are writing a parameter with type, then you have to mention a parenthesis. Otherwise, only parameter, parenthesis not required. Because we are writing a parameter, then you need a parenthesis. Multiple parameters also we need parenthesis, because this is lambda style. This is arrow methods, arrow functions, right? Now this is going to return the count of electronics and put it in e count. Now what I will do here, that e count I will apply here. E count I am applying here. E count is electronic count. How many electronics are there? It will pass that number here. Now data is successfully transported. That means how many electronics are there? Filter component don't know. Filter component don't have that number. We are transporting that number from the parent to child. Parent to child. Now the same thing I have to do with others, right? Jewelry, men's clothing, women's clothing. We need to transport data from parent to child. So let's put up other conditions now. Another option, what is this? This dot j count products dot what? Filter also. So products dot filter, and here we need to define product is any type, implies product dot category. Category is equal to what? It is jewelry. So jewelry spelling we need to be careful. Dot length, yeah, that means it is jewelry details. And here we will put another property. What is it? Jewelry count, j count. We are passing the jewelry count there, and jewelries are 4 and electronics are 6. It is passing that number and displaying. So we are accessing the data and we are displaying the data here. Okay, now let's do another here. So what is it? Let's go and copy the filter, copy and put that here. What is another one? This is m count. So m count, it is what is it? So we have so here one challenge will be there again. This is that actually that product is having an hyphen, means it's having a single quote. So men's clothing. So men's clothing. So m count, and here I am displaying. So where is it? In the product catalog, yeah. Here we have men's count is equal to m count. That is the number, and it should display that men's count also there. Because single quote, double quote combination you already know, right? Because if outer string is single quote, inner string can be in double quote. Because they give this, I can't use single quote again. I have to use the outer one as double quote, right? That is the condition. Okay, next one, another one is W count, right? This is women clothing. So that is again a double quote here, and here women's clothing. Okay, now you can see that is the data coming here and it will display. What is it? Any problem? We are not applying, na? Yes. So here we have to give women's count, W count. Okay. We are applying that. Now it is displayed there. These are all the products available and it is showing these products, right? Now when now we are transporting, one step is ready. That means we are transporting data from parent to child. Now when user clicks electronics, only those details must come here. That means earlier we done this, but what we done everything in one page. In reality, it will not be like that. In reality, it will not be like that. Everything will not be in one page. Shopping cart, separate component. Right? Right side you put cart, that is a separate component. Right? Filter, separate component, because we need reusability. We need to reuse across various locations. Then we need to design separate component and put them. Right? Single page application means the appearance will be in such a way that everything looks like on one page. Everything working on one page, but actually coming from different components. Right? Now let's achieve the second concept now. What is the second concept? When user clicks on this, so we need a filter click event. We need a filter click event. Okay. Let's write an event in the filter component. In the filter component, we need to create a custom event. Then we need two options. One is output. Another one is event emitter. So we have to write a custom event. How to write? At the net, output, public, event name. Event name is filter click. Filter click. Filter click is the event name. And it is what type? Event emitter type. Event emitter type. Output marker. Yeah. Event emitter. What type? So it is any type is equal to new event emitter any type. So memory is allocated. The memory is allocated. So that is ready. Now what should happen is when user clicks these buttons, that should emit a value. When user clicks these buttons, a value should be emitted. A value should be emitted. So that means now we need a method. We need a method here. Let's create one method. And what is the method? So public. So this is button click is the method. On button click, we will send information about which button they click. Some data we will send, right? That we will do by using event arguments. So, or we will just use button name. Button name, it is what type? String type. We are expecting a string. That means, or actually it is not button name, it is category name, right? We are using category name. On button click, we have to identify which category they clicked. Now this button click should fire up, and into that we need to send the category name. So let's do in the filter, every button needs click. On click, where we have what we have to do? Button click. Into that we need to send a string. What is it? Electronics. We need to send a string electronics. Right? Now we need another one. What is it? So on click. So what is it? Button click. Event arguments. Now here we need to send jewelry. Jewelry. Okay. Next, another one. So click. On click, I will use single quote. Single quote because already it is having, let's see, button click. On button click, what we have to do in this, we have to put men's clothing. We have to put a string here. A string inside another string. Single quote, double quote, again double quote, single quote. This combination, where is the correct combination coming? Let's see. We'll do one thing. On button click, double quote, in that again single quote, but here again issue will come. Single quote, yeah. Again there is a double quote. We have men's clothing. So this is having an issue. Let's check. Directly men's, again single quote I cannot use. Clothing. I have to reshuffle this one. If it is a single quote, this one is a double quote. Here we cannot have that. Let's put a expression like anything to happen, because we have that category problem is there. What we will do, we will put a expression here. So in this expression, we cannot have some issue is there. Let's do one thing. The main button click, on button click. Here we will do one thing. So what is it? Name. So this is men's clothing. We'll do one thing. Here we will use $event. $event dot target dot name. That is actually string type, but directly it is not allowed. We will use $event. Then in that case, everywhere I have to collect the event. I will collect that event here. What is that event? What type? Any type. So here let's see E dot alert. Temporarily I'm using an alert. E dot target dot what? Name. Let's see, is it able to capture that or not? Fine. Okay. This headache is because some of their names have single quotes. Our string representation have problem. Then what we do? Better what we do? We will pass an $event everywhere. Otherwise it is fine. So, but because of some of the names they have here name. This name is what? Electronics. And this is the name. This name is what? Jewelry. Jewelry. Okay. This name is men's clothing. This name is women's clothing. Okay. Then here we will put click. On click. What is it? Button click, and we will pass $event. Okay. Now let's keep in the filter component. Let's check. I click on electronics coming, jewelry coming, and men's clothing is okay. We have to make sure that this quote is not missing, because otherwise filter issue will come, because in their data they have that, right? Their data is designed. Now this name should be emitted by our custom event. So what we have to do, this dot filter click dot emit. What should it emit? It should emit E dot target dot name. That is what it is emitting. So we created a filter click custom event. It is emitting the category name. It is emitting category name. We have to catch this. Where to catch this? In the product catalog, we need to write that event. What is it? Filter click. Filter click, we have to call a function. What is that? I will give get category name. Get category name. Into that $event, it will send the value. Now in product catalog, we need to create a method. So what is that function? Get, they are not function, public, yeah. So we need here public, get category name. It is collecting the data. E is what type? Any. Now we need to collect the data and display only the products that belong to category. Only the products that belong to category. That means we need to call this method again. But this is going to load all the products now. It is going to load all the products. This time we need to load only the products that belong to that particular category. Then how do we do? Load products can use an URL of string type, and that URL we can apply here. Then whenever load product is called, we have to pass the URL http fakestoreapi.com/what products. Initially it is loading all the products here. Initially it is loading all the products. When user clicks electronics, only those electronic products must display here. So we need to filter. What we have to do, this dot load products. In that we need to give http fakestoreapi.com/products/category/category name. Category name coming from where? E. From E, the category name is coming. That is the filter we need to handle. So that means now filter click is a custom event. On that event, we are passing the category name, and it is collecting the category related details, and it is displaying only the category which is matched. Let's do this now. I click on jewelry. Only the jewelry products will come. Now this time some event is transferred from here to here. That means, remember, you clicked a different product. Now here one issue is coming that you can try to solve. You try that issue. What it is doing, whenever it is loading, all count becoming 0 na? Because only once we return it, you have to write every time. That means get the count every time and load the count every time, whenever change it. That you try to do. That means actually I return the count here, right? Only once we return that. This you write in a reusable function and call every time whenever the button is clicked. You have to try that. Then you can see when I click on that, that details will come. It will show the detail and display. The category related information will display. Only the point is the count you need to update, because currently I am writing count only once. We need to write in a reusable method, and you have to call every time. This is the basic point of transporting data from parent to child and child to parent. And here we are using custom events. Here we are using custom events, and both input properties as well as output properties. Only two tasks you have to try here. What the task is, update this count. That is a simple thing you can do. You do one more work here. You add here another component there, that is cart items component. Now you put a button for every product. When user clicks on that add to cart, that should update here. Understood? You add that additionally. Try. That means you need to create one more component. What is that component name? Shopping cart. Shopping cart. Put that shopping cart component at the right side corner. And when user clicks add to cart button for any product, that item must be added into the cart, and it should display your cart items 1, your cart items 2. Already we achieved that in single page. You have to just put one more component and transport data from this component to that. You can try that, right? If you can try these two things, it's good. That means you are now aware of how do we deal with the components hierarchy. How do we access the component? How do we transport data and handle it? Remember, design your wish. That means it's not necessary that you need to put buttons. Sometimes we put a drop down. In a drop down, we will put the list. On drop down, user can change. On change, it will do. For example, can I create another event for the same filter? Right? For example, see in the filter component below this, I will create another div and class margin top 2. And here I am giving a drop down select. And here we have a class as form select. And here we are giving option. So this is electronics, and it is having a value. Value is electronics. Similarly, we have other options. So we have jewelry, and here we have jewelry. And here we have men's clothing. And here we have women's clothing. And here also we are having men's clothing. So men's clothing, yeah. And here we have women's clothing. Women's clothing, okay. Now you see we have a drop down below that. We have a drop down below that. Now when user selects this, those details must come. Again, this is also present in a separate component. It is also present in a separate component, means the same filter component. That means you can have any number of custom events, That means we will keep here. This is W100. It will be like this now. Okay, right. Now I selected this, and those details should come. That means now we need a custom event for this drop down. That means you can write one more event here. What is that? But for buttons, filter click. We can write one more. What is it? Output, public. We can write filter change, right? Filter change. It is what type? Event emitter type. It can emit any type of value. New event emitter. It is any type of value, right? Now what should happen whenever drop down change, filter change should fire up. And it should send that particular value. That means now we will write here. What is the event to write? Change. On change, we will say select change. Into that we will pass $event. So we will write an event here. What is it? Public select change. Select change E any type. Now we need to emit this dot. What is it? Filter change dot emit. What is it? E dot target dot value, not name, because we have drop downs. Drop downs have values, option value. That value we have to collect. That means filter change we need to apply here. That means filter click is there. Here there is another option. What is it? Filter change. Filter change, I will write a function, category change. Into that we will pass $event. Then in the product component, we need to write one more method. What is it? Public category change. We have to access that event argument, and we need to write the same logic here, right? The same one here. We need to display the same concept here. Now here, when user selects jewelry, only jewelry will come. When user selects men's clothing, only men's clothing will come. Some quotation problem is there. Huh? You try that. You change that, right? Quote problem is there. It is working for both situations. You click on that clothing, it will work there. You can put one more option. For example, here you can put a search box and you can ask the user to enter the product name or enter the category name. You can put checkboxes. Some websites, what they do, they put checkbox. Some websites, what they do, they put radios. That means you can choose through any element you want. You have learned various elements, events. For buttons, what to do, for drop downs, what to do, for checkbox, what to do. Then based on that, we can implement this, right? This is one concept of working with events, custom events. How do we define events and configure custom events? This example I will give here. In this example, we have one is filter.component.ts. In filter component.ts, this is the logic. Yeah. And we have filter component.html. Filter component HTML is this. Yeah. This is filter component. We have product catalog dot component dot ts. In the product catalog component ts, this is the logic, right? And product catalog dot component dot html, and all this is the logic. This is the complete example that we designed. In this, some more changes, editings are there you need to do, right? Major point is how to configure the events, custom events. How do we use those custom events? But here, one challenging option is in very experienced level concepts. They may ask you, like, they will ask you, how you mentioned 4 buttons. If later I added one more category, then what will happen? Understood? That means we hard coded that. We designed 4 categories. How you know that only 4 categories will be there? Sometimes one more category may be added. Sometimes it may reduce. Sometimes category name may be different. How you can create a component hard coded with certain things? A component should take values also dynamically. And according to the values, it should generate UI. UI must be generated according to the data provided by the parent. Data provided parent. You cannot fix a component with a certain design and you cannot use it in, and you cannot say that it is reusable. That means now the point is, in one way I cheated you. Understood? In the concept. That means I said that it is reusable. Okay, custom event is working. So I said that it is reusable, but it is not good reusable. It is not good reusable. It is reusable if the same type of data comes every time. How you will say that same type of data comes every time? Right? That means now you have to think how to design a component which can change its UI according to parent. That means it will not have a fixed UI. It will change the UI according to the component, parent component. What parent component provides, it will send according to that. Let's try that logic. I will help you in that understanding the logic. You have to finish that, right? See, let's do one point here now. Concept understood? What is concept here? That means you cannot design any filter component fixed with certain things. That means it should be according to what data you are providing, right? So let's see here. Suppose I will create here a component called, let's create a component. I will generate a component, ng generate component grid. Grid is a component. Skip test. I am creating a component called grid. Okay, we designed a component called grid, right? The main intention of this component is reusability. We can use this in anywhere, right? Now let's create this div. Let's create the grid. Let's go to the grid, the design. Now I am creating here a div. So class container fluid. Here we are creating a table. Now this is class table and table hover. And this grid have a heading. Here it is empty because the title of grid changes according to what data they are sending. Right? So that means I just mentioned grid. What grid later it is decided. Okay. Now in this table, how we will have T head, table header. In that we will have TR row. In that, how many headings will be there? We are not sure. If employee data is sent, how many headings they send? Based on that, it should be. Then that means here headings also generated dynamically. That means now what we will do is, what is the logic for this? We will go to TS file. In that we will create a property. So the property is public. Fields is a property. Fields means columns. How many fields? Okay, fields is a property. I will keep any array type because fields are more than one. We are expecting multiple fields. It can be string type array. Better we can keep a string type array, right? That means it is a string type array. So it is expecting some fields, right? Now these fields I have to use for iteration. That means I have to write here th. This heading should repeat. For what? What is the condition? ng for let item or say field of what is it? Fields. And every field name should display here. Understood? Every field name should display here. Okay. Now very important, this fields should get value dynamically from parent. That means it should be marked as what? It is marked as input. Input na? It is marked as input. So we need to configure this as what? Input. So we need to say input. We need to mark as input. So that means the parent component will send how many fields, based on that it will decide, right? That is the concept. Let's try this. That's first level, just only outline, right? Now we will try to use this grid component in somewhere. I will create one more component, ng generate components, products grid. Okay, I will say at data grid, skip test. I am creating a component called data grid, right? So let's put this data grid in startup. So we will keep the data grid in startup. Data grid is in startup. Index.html. So we have data grid director. Data grid is directly defined. Okay, data grid is in the startup. Currently data grid works fine. Now in this data grid, let's go to the data grid HTML. Okay, in this HTML page, so div class container fluid. Okay, and here I want to display some products data. For displaying products data, I am accessing app grid. Understood? App grid. App grid is going to get the grid here, right? But the grid doesn't contain anything inside, right? So that means table is there, but table is empty. Huh? This table will have table hover. So table dark, something like this. So colors I will just define. Now important is this is expecting, table is there below, but it is expecting fields. It is expecting the fields. Then what to do now? So let's go to the data grid component. It is expecting fields. You see there is a fields. Fields is what type? String array. Na? Fields is a string array. I am using a array of string type. In that I mentioned name. I mentioned name, and here it is name. Understood? Now I mentioned here, according to this grid, it will have what? Price. According to this, it will have stock. Then now table is ready for this. Table is ready for this. And suppose I am designing another employee data. And here we are using app grid. Here we have fields. And this time it is different. That means this time we have first name, we have designation, and you see it will get that different. This is the correct reusable component. Understood? That means now this is good. Of course, what grid it is, name also we need to tell. We are not sending the name. That means there must be another property in the grid component. What is the property at the net? Input public title is what? String type, and it is initially empty. And this title I want to display here, right? It is displayed here. And I need to pass that title also. So here we have a title property. Into that we will pass a string. This is products grid. And here we have another title. And this is which grid? This is employee grid. And you can see employee grid and products grid. I don't need these headings anymore now, right? I can use two grids with two titles inbuilt there. Right? That is the products grid, that is the employee grid. I designed a grid which can work for any type of data now. What about data? Columns, okay. What about data? Data also same. If I showed you columns, I hope you can try the data also, right? That means what we will do, let's go to the grid component here. We will create another one at the net input public. What is it? Records. Records is an any type array. We will put an array. Am I right? Records is an any type array. Now those records we need to present as rows. That means we will give t body and tr. This should repeat for whom? Ng for let item of what? Records. Now here one more challenge. How you know what field values will be there? Right? That means now what we have to do is, here the challenge here is, how many records are there? Rows will be generated. That's fine, right? That means how many rows you pass, those number of rows will be generated. But here what should be there? Cell. This cell be generated. This cell should be generated for the columns. How many columns you need? That depends on how many fields are there. Am I right? How many fields are there? That means you have to get the field name and display. Here one more challenge will be there. So as of now, suppose rows are enough. That means rows are enough. I will keep here Go to the data grid component. Here I need to add what records. Records is an array of object. In that we are having, what is the detail we are having? Suppose we are having name. Name is what? So name is a string type. That means string. That means this is product na some TV. Another one we have price. Price is also some number type. And we have another stock, and it is a Boolean type, true or false. This is one record. And very important, for one record, the data should be generated here, right? So that record related data must be generated there. And here, same, I need to add one more. Suppose I am copying the second record, copy. And here we are adding this 2. That means you see here it is showing normal. Because data is not printed, na? Data is not printed. That means we are collecting those records, but those records need to be printed here in the component now. We need cells to be generated. That means I am using a TD here. TD here. You can see 1, 2 are there. 2 are there. But how do you know that 2 are there? 2 records. That means in that again we need to display 3 cells now. That means now what we have to do is, in this item, this item is an object now. In this item, how do we know how many columns are there? And we need this TD to repeat for every item there, for every column. That means suppose I am using here, again, what is it? NG for. This time I am using LET. So I am using, suppose I am using field, or I will say as call of item. It's not possible. It is not possible. Why? Because of is used to return value, not to return property. But we need to return property here. It is not for returning value. To handle this kind of situation, in the latest version of Angular, they introduced a pipe called key value. This comes under the concept of pipes. By using this key value pipe, you can access the keys and you can access the values easily. And if you know this pipe, then we can generate the rows in a simple way. Earlier, lot of logic is implemented here, but now we have a solution for this. They have an option called keys and values. That is a pipe actually. But we haven't learned pipes. We will discuss about pipes in a separate session. If you can implement that pipe, that means if you are implementing that pipe, that means we can use, what is it? Key value pipe. What you can do is you can read all the keys and you can read all the values. This key value is going to return the collection of keys and the collection of values. For that we can generate the cells. That is something extra you have to learn. But for that you need to understand a concept called pipes. So that is the reason I haven't discussed this kind of example in the beginning, because you need some more knowledge to implement and handle this scenario. We will do that, but I ignore this, just observe this. After I teach you about the pipe concept, this we will successfully implement. Understood? That means 80% we achieved. Only 20% is to generate the data and display the data. For that we need some more concepts. Then we can finish this. That is perfect reusable component. That means a component can be reused according to whatever data you pass, it will work. Previously it is not like that. Previously it is having fixed. Now you can design filter also like that. That means you put a collection called fields. In that pass the categories list And for those categories, iterate buttons. That means 4 buttons will be generated if there are 4 categories. 5 buttons will be generated if there are 5 categories, depending on that, right? So this example, don't worry, right? Just observed the concept, understood the concept, pause it. Later, after knowing about the pipes, I will explain the complete scenario. Then we can handle it, okay? So as of now, you just practice this example, the catalog. The second concept we will discuss later, right? So right, same here, same location, right? 9 a.m. we will have the session, and tomorrow we will spend 2.5 hours time so that we can finish a large concept in one attempt, complete architecture, how it works and all. That's we will see in next session tomorrow. Is it clear, right? Tomorrow we'll continue with that, huh? Right. Tomorrow night 9, not night, the same time, tomorrow 9 a.m. online people, right? Tomorrow 9 a.m. Okay, right.